Hello everyone. As a third grade math and science teacher, I found the beloved Teachers Pay Teachers website may not be as great as we think it is, and there are some tips as to why we should tread lightly. If you want to hear more about that, just stay tuned to the video. Hey everyone, by my title, you guys already know what I'm about to tackle, and I know I may have, if anyone watched this video or if it gets out there or if it's one of those things, I don't know, I'm just doing this from the bottom of my heart. I know that some people that are watching that are educators may already be disagreeing with me, but I want to get started by saying hi. You're on the Chrissy and Sissy channel. However, I'm Sissy. This is my teacher series that I do. If you all have been following my blog, it has been amazing. If you all don't know, my actual name is Jamise Durden, and I am a third grade math and science teacher here in the state of Alabama. Um, it's so funny kind of saying my name, but I'm bringing you guys a series because this past week was Thanksgiving week, so I was on break, so there was nothing really to vlog. So this was on my heart. I know I have other videos that I need to get out, but this was kind of on my heart to share. All right. So again, I have been teaching for 6 years, but I have been active, for almost 10 years in the school system, working as a tutor, working in a mentoring program in the school district in which I started out in. So again, no vlog this week. So let's just go ahead and get into this video. I'm titling this Teachers Pay Teachers, Tread Lightly. So if you all have never heard of Teachers Pay Teachers, if you are a upcoming teacher in a profession or anything like that, and let's say you just haven't heard of Teachers Pay Teachers. Teachers Pay Teachers is basically what it is. It's a site where teachers create teacher-made resources for other teachers' classroom. And I will tell you, it was an awesome resource when I was student teaching, and it still is an awesome resource. This video is not saying like don't use Teachers Pay Teachers. I want to get that through you all's head. Like, first off, this is some things I noticed just still technically being a young teacher, but in the school that I am in, I'm looked at as a veteran teacher. Like we know that we're not about to go off to the whole teacher shortage thing right now. But I am looked at as a veteran teacher, although I've been in my district for a small number of years, really 2 years, right? And so I wanted to do a video about Teachers Pay Teachers, and I wanted to let current teachers, but as well as upcoming teachers, about this resource and what they can expect with it. So again, it is a site. I mean, Teachers Pay Teachers has everything. It's not just student work. It also has everything for the classroom as far as decorations. I remember my second year class, once I found out about Teachers Pay Teachers and how it was a free section, I decorated my entire classroom with Teachers Pay Teachers. I just used, everything was free. And of course I just used a printer, but you have tests, you can have letters. Of course, what it's really known for is a lot of those project-based learning activities. For all subjects, it has teacher work, student work, teacher work. There are teachers out there that make formats and templates for us to do our lesson plans in. Everything you can think about. Oh my goodness, welcome back letters, take home letters to parents. It is a amazing resource out there. It's awesome, and it's made by teachers for teachers. But I wanted to kind of share. I'm going to go over 3 points I want to share about Teachers Pay Teachers and why you should tread lightly when it comes to this site. So here we go. All right, the first thing we have is baseline assignment. Okay, what do we mean by this? So I know as in my state in Alabama, and you can look back Alabama up and where we stand in academics, and we know we're just not the best right now, right? But when I mean baseline assessments, so there has been a shift. Okay, listen, there has been a shift in the standards for my state. Me coming up in my state and realizing, like, when I was an undergrad, you had the Alabama course of study, and that's what we call our standard. Then we had Alabama College and Career Readiness standards. You had Common Core. You had all of this going on. Okay, basically it's the same thing. 15% of standards across the United States, from my last check when I learned in undergrad, 15% of those standards, are interchangeable, but majority of our standards mimic across the United States. That's the whole purpose of Common Core. Well, Common Core brought this new math, and I want to more so focus on math. I can focus on reading, but in all subjects, especially in math, there has been a distinct shift. What do we mean? When we explain the depth of knowledge or Bloom's taxonomy, I will use depth of knowledge. There are 4 levels of knowledge that a student should understand. And the highest level is create, the lowest level is to recall. And in between, you have applying and you have synthesizing, evaluating, all mushed in the middle. So there has been a shift in standards. I love to use this example, especially in 3rd grade. I have parents that go, my child don't understand how they're not understanding 4th grade math. Well, they understood 3rd grade math. And I'm saying, well, if we look at your child had a shift in standards. For example, your child is not going to be asked, what is 5 times 5? Because that's the first thing they say. I practice my multiplication facts. And I'm like, you can. However, they're going to be asked to find the unknown factors, to create a model for those multiplication facts. It's a many things besides just recalling your facts. When it comes to our state assessment, you will not be asked at all, okay, what is 5 times 5? That is not going to be on the test. It's going to be higher levels of knowledge. So baseline assignments. So teachers pay teachers have these cute assignments. I'm not knocking that. Teachers put their whole heart into it. They're cute. They're decorated. They have a lot of games. And so what I found out is a lot of the assignments are baseline assignments. Now, there has been some things I found. Honestly, at this point, I know how to kind of create or manipulate my own things on app or something, but majority of it, like for multiplication and division, I will use. You can go on there and you can find a bingo game, but is that bingo game going to actually, push the standard to fidelity so that your students will be able to understand DOK 2, 3 of that standard? Probably not. Bingo is not enough. Checkers or matching is not enough. That is not higher order thinking. Now, for example, I did find a resource on there that was free, surprisingly. I found a resource on there that asked them to make models that modeled multiplication using all 4 strategies: skip counting, making equal groups, making an array, and using repeated addition. That is definitely, like, this child can look at 2 times 3 and see it 4 different ways, all right? But what's the problem with the site? A majority of it is baseline assignments. So basically, I know y'all don't want to hear it, but you have to provide rigor for your students. And me, I tutor in the praxis and courses like that. And when I look at some of you all future teachers are being assessed on, you may reflect on your childhood when you grew up, but actually a lot of the assignments that we got in our childhood was not, everything was, when I look back, it was baseline, matching, fill in the blank, having a word bank. But when we want to do depth of knowledge and we want to rise or go up or go deeper in the depth of knowledge, we really have to think about what assignment is allowing us to put, see our personal understanding from it, right? So that's one thing I wanted to point out is baseline assignments. Okay, there are a lot of baseline assignments on there, and don't get me wrong, they're cute, but are they really, really, really honing in and making sure that student understands deeper levels of that standard, right? The next thing I want to talk about, and I faced this a lot in my first year teaching, there are difficult instructions for students. Yes, we have instructions, and if you all don't know, I teach in a Title I school. I'm not saying my students are limited in anything, but I am saying this. Culture differences make a big difference. If I'm in a Title I school where I have 85% of my students are reading 2 grade levels or below or behind, what does it look like? I give them this assignment that may have a higher depth of knowledge on it, but the instructions are hard to explain, right? You buy this, and this is if you buy stuff. I found this, you buy these amazing assignments, or y'all know how we do, or you get the share license with somebody else. for this amazing assignment. And what happens? You get to it, you make it. They even have the easy prep. You get out, you do everything, and then the students are not able to even read the instructions. They're not able to read the directions. If you bought a station like I did, you buy a center, you think, I got I've got this nice Dollar Tree basket. I put it over there, and they're stuck. Miss Durden, what did you do again, Miss Durden? And then you find yourself, I found myself, I thought I worked the system. I was like, okay, this is going to be hard for them to understand. So I made an example. Then they found out something that was meant to be in the station or for the students to do independently ended up being a whole group lesson. For example, I've got a big flip chart, this cute flip book and everything, and it talked about the regions of all the Native Americans and all of that, right? And we spent the entire time, about 3 days, because it took 1 day to decorate it, but gluing it, cutting it, doing all of that, when I could have just sat there and taught about the different regions, and we did it as we went along, where I could have found another assignment. That pocket chart, that flip chart, oh my goodness, it did not help them at all. And I feel like I did such a disservice to my class, because I thought, well, I want to do this very, very cute, very, very nice assignment, and I really can't do it, or I have to do a whole group, and it took away from whole group, and it took away from the standard. The standard wants to know the regions, and what we did, we spent 3 days of wasted time of our social study block to do that. Now, of course, next year I found easier resources. I found fill in the blank word, just some vocabulary for social studies. And I know y'all probably saying, well, she just said don't use that. But I was able to find resources, even for science, that accommodated that. That I had to be very intentional and look at and go, okay, I can use this. And how would I do this in my classroom? Or how would I use this in my classroom where it can reinforce? All right. So next, I wanted to talk about how that is difficult for instruction. And a lot of these points really kind of coincide with each other. So for one, it's baseline. And when you go back to assess your standard and you figure out, my students don't get it, and all you can think, I spent 3 days because it was difficult for my students to understand the instructions. We spent 3 days as a class working on this, or they're still confused, or they're talking. And what does this lead to? I found out that a lot of teachers are stressed out. I know a teacher that was very stressed out because they felt like they were doing so much for their classroom. They were buying things for Teachers Pay Teachers. And honestly, I'm going to just leave it at that. They were buying things for Teachers Pay Teachers. There are a million other resources for us to use. Yes, Teachers Pay Teachers looks very, very cute. We're not knocking that. But there are other resources that we're able to use that, for more importantly, are free. You want a worksheet, it may not look cute. Hey, I may do another video about how to turn a plain assignment to look very, very, very cute, because as teachers, I get it. We want it to look nice. But what's more important, for you to have a lot of fluff and cute work, or for your students to understand the standard at the end of the day? And I want to lead you all with this point. Students need our best. They don't need our money. You go, imagine, even as a first year teacher, you go in, you got all this Teachers Pay Teacher stuff, knowing however you may do it. You may have cut your work out, you may have, laminated, it's ready to go. I have a whole story about that. I did that all my first year. And then you get to the assessment and your students don't know anything, or it's showed because of depth of knowledge, and you buy all this stuff, you laminate it, you get into a small group station, you're thinking, they're going to have fun. Miss Durden, how do you do this? Miss Durden, and then you're stressed out, or everybody's working, they understand the directions, and everybody's in their area, and then bam, this person's talking, this person's talking, this person's playing, this person's playing. No, you're supposed to be doing this. And it goes back to, classroom management, because you put what you thought was your hard-earned work, or you put your money into something, and your students are not grasping to it the way that you like, you get very upset. I did that my first year. I was so upset. I found this year, there was a correlation between when I bought something and I implemented it in my classroom, and when it just did not go the way I wanted to go, because what's the first thing I thought about? I spent money on this. And so these are not tips, but this was some things I looked at when assessing teachers pay teachers item. When you go in, make sure you try to look at the actual work or what it's actually asking you. Look at that preview and see what it's actually asking you, right? Another thing is, remember, Teachers Pay Teachers is basically a good site for recall and reinforcing the standard. You may find a pop quiz on there that you can go back and say, okay, here's a pop quiz, but I'm going to really use it as an exit slip or a check slip or anything like that. That's what, to me, what it's really good for. It's not going to be higher depth of knowledge. You can say, well, they have projects and things on there that you can do too. Yes, I'm saying that, and they cost money. And there are also free alternatives to using a purchase site or vendor for that. There are resources, there are resources like the Teacher Pay Teacher stores, and not Teacher Pay Teacher stores, but the parent teacher stores that are across the country, and Amazon, and just sites that you can do things and create your own things and find resources from. There you may, I need something for a solar system project. You guys, there's probably even in your old science textbook, there's a resource for that as well. We just don't use it. Another thing I want people to also look at is to evaluate, and this may be another video, but evaluate and ask yourself, do I really need this? It's going to be reinforcement. If it has a price tag with it, see if the vendor has a free version of it. I found an amazing source. Of course, it was recalled, but it was a daily number sheet where they had to add, subtract, greater than, less than. I loved it. And the vendor had a free version of it. So when it came time to buy, a 30 pack of it, I felt comfortable in spending my money. But I want to reiterate that your students need your best. I've had, and I may do a video about this, I was able to create my own centers and stations and small group used for less than $20. And all it involved was dominoes, dice, and honestly, a printer. And I have access to a printer, and I have my own printer. And I made my own sheets. A source like Canva is good. You can make your own worksheets on Canva. You may be thinking, I don't want to do that. Find somebody in your school. I guarantee you I'm waiting for people to come in my classroom and say, okay, I heard so much about your stations, Miss Durden. What can I do? And when I tell you, before the break Friday, I allow my students to just have a complete 60 minutes of just stations. Nobody was called to my table or anything like that. It was literally just stations. And they were first of all, when I told them to be quiet, they were well behaved. The instructions were simple, for one, because I made the instructions for them. The instructions were very simple. It is baseline, but because I created it, and think about, I didn't spend any money on it, but because I created it, for example, they roll one station is roll the dice. Let's say it's 6. Roll it again. Let's say it's 4. Add on. It's called counting on, because we're practicing with addition right now. Count on. And the next student, okay, I'm going to have you do two dice and count on. Another station that was amazing that my students did, that I should tell my math coach as well, we had one with dominoes where you have 6 on one side, 2 on one side, you add them up. What did my students decide to do? Can we multiply them? That's 2 interchangeable stations I have that literally cost me. Those dominoes were $5 in the Target spot at Target. $5. And I bought 3. So that's how I got my stations to be, under $20, because I bought 3 dominoes, little cup things. And I also bought some dice that were $2, but I bought 10 dice. And those stations have been interchangeable. Paper, printer, all that donated. It's free. All the guys are on HP Print anyways. So I just wanted to come on here and tell you all, it wasn't a Teachers Pay Teachers bashing video. It was just a Teachers Pay Teachers tread lightly, because coming out of a first year teacher or coming out of college, you look at this site and you say, oh my goodness, it's amazing, I'm going to use it. But I don't want anyone to get discouraged and spend their hard on earned money on a site like this, and like get your feet wet, get in the door, ask the people that are in your school, ask veteran teachers, what are they doing? What are they using? Because just because you're not implementing teachers pay teachers in your classroom doesn't make you a horrible teacher. There are amazing things you can do, and in your spare time, manipulate PowerPoint, manipulate Canva, go to other free resources. If you add dice to anything, children will love it. But I just wanted to point that out. And we know a lot of administrators have told us don't use teachers pay teachers. And I was that person that was like, I'm using it. But as I dove into my content and I understood it, and I was like, okay, let me not just, I did a whole year of not using TPT for academic resources. I used it for parent letters and documentation, but I did not use it at all. And honestly, that was like the best classroom management I ever had. And it was just amazing to look at and go, wow, my students are still engaged. Because sometimes just because you have those cute colors on the paper doesn't make it engaged. Just because you laminate it doesn't make it engaged. Your students need you, and not your money. I thank you all for tuning in to this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you did not like it, oh well. If you dislike it, I would love to have a conversation with you all about it. I just know I wanted to do this video because I've had other colleagues and my friends have told me about TPT and why we now agree with our administrators about not using it. So I just want to thank you all again. And I want to remind you all, this is like my first time really doing a sit down video with you all instead of a vlog. But I just want to remind you to be a light in your classroom. And thanks for watching.